Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nashta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nanda gopa kumaraya govindaya namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So, what was the topic of the last chapter?
Maharaj Parikshit caused by Raman boy.
Yes, very good. Yeah. Maharaj Parikshit was cursed by Brahman boy. And then today's topic, Maharaj Parikshit then decides to fast unto death, and he goes and sits on the bank of Ganges. Let me share my screen for the So let's recite these words and then we will discuss them. The chapter is titled Appearance of Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Appearance of Śukadeva Gosvāmī. And also Maharaj Parikshit fast unto death. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tatra bhavad bhagavan vyas putro. Tatra bhavad bhagavan vyas putro. Yatri chayagam tamananapekshaha. Yatri chayagam tamananapekshaha. Alakshalingo nijlabhatushto. Alakshalingo nijlabhatushto. Vritascha baler avadhut vesha. Vritascha baler avadhut vesha. Word by word translation. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Please repeat. Tatra. There. Abhavat. Appeared. Bhagavan. Powerful. Vyas Putraha. Son of Vyasadeva. Yadrichaya, as one desires. Gam, the earth. Atamanaha, while traveling. Ana apekshaha, disinterested. Alakshaya, unmanifested. Lingaha, symptoms. Nij labh, self-realized. Tushtaha, satisfied. Vrataha, surrounded. Cha, and. Balahi, by children. Avadhut, neglected by others. Vesha, dressed. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki. Please repeat. At that moment, there appeared the powerful son of Vyasdev, who traveled over the earth, disinterested and satisfied with himself. He did not manifest any symptoms of belonging to any social order or status of life. He was surrounded with women and children, and he dressed as if others had neglected him. So it's a very powerful and very meaningful verse Prabhuji is telling. So Parikshit Maharaj is sitting on the bank of Ganges, fast unto death. And there is a conversation happening between the sages. But the important thing is Vyasdev's son, Śukadeva Gosvāmī, he appeared by himself. Right? So that speaks of the desire or jignasa of Parikshit Maharaj. Because he was jignasu, so Lord made the arrangement for him to appear. Why? Like how we all have anxieties, we have desires. Sometimes we see in our lives things get arranged. One Prabhu said his Guru Maharaj came himself. So it's all Lord's arrangement. Lord make the arrangement. But the only thing is our desire, our patrata. Patra is any container. And what can go into the container? What container can hold? You can only put something into the container that container can hold. If the container does not have the strength or the, you can say the piety, then how can it hold? You all want to see the God. But are we qualified to see the God? That is the important thing. Yeah? Okay. So maybe one Prabhuji or Mataji want to recite the words.
Tatra bhavat bhagavan vyasaputro.
Tatra bhavat bhagavan vyasaputro.
Yatruchayagam atamano napeksha.
Yadrichayagam atamano napekshaha.
Alakshalingo nijalabhatushto.
Alakshalingo nijlabhatushto.
Vratascha baler avadhuta vesha.
Vritascha baler avadhuta vesha. Okay, thank you very much. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki. You want to read? Yeah. Sit there. Sit there and read. Everybody here.
Go close.
Sometimes using a relation with the sum of the greater devotees of the Lord, like a Sukadeva Gosvāmī touched the shows the arrogance
Disinterested.
disinterested in the affairs of the material world because they are satisfied by the great achievements of a devotional service. As I explained before, Śukadeva Gosvāmī never accepted any formal spiritual master, nor did he undergo any formal reformatory
Performances.
His father, Vidyashah,
Vyasdeva.
was his natural spiritual master because Śukadeva Gosvāmī heard Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam for him. After this, he became completely self-satisfied. Thus, he was not dependent on any formal process. The formal processes are necessary for those who are accepted to reach the stage of liberation.
Complete liberation.
But Shri Śukadeva Gosvāmī was already in that status by the grace of his father. As a young boy, he expected to properly dress, but he went about naked and was uninterested in his social costumes. He was neglected by other general populace and inquisitive boys like women surrounded him as if he were a madman. He thus appears on the scene while traveling on the earth of his own accord. It appears that upon the inquiry of Maharaja Parikshit, the great sages were not
Unanimous.
In their decision as to what to be done after spiritual salvation. There were many prescriptions according to the different modes of the different people, but persons, but the ultimate aim of life is to attain the highest perfectional stage of the devotional service to the Lord. As doctors differ, so also sages differ in their different
Prescriptions.
While such things are going on, the great and powerful son of Vidyashah,
Vyasdeva,
appeared on the scene.
Srila Bhaktivedanta Purports ki. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. Very good. It's a long paragraph, but that's good. Very auspicious. Okay, let's do Mangalacharan and then we will discuss. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamlam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Savadhetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Bhuter Mahadhir Yaima Puro Vibho Nirmaya Shete Yadamosha Purusha Bhumte Gunansho Dashasho Dashatmakam Solanka Srishta Bhagavan Vachamsi Me Shri Krishna Sharanam Sharanagatam Katha Amritam Satata Pibatam Bhakti Vedanta Marga Panthanam Sarvaloka Rishide Janma Prasannam Sarvaloka Rishide Janma Prasannam. Hare Krishna. Please bless me. May the right words come at the right time. I'm able to glorify my Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada and truly glorify the Guru Parampara. Hare Krishna. So today's chapter is titled Appearance of Śukadeva Goswami. Like I was saying, this is a very important point in our reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. You know how in a movie you see superhero comes? So this is the Mahanayak. Bhagavatam ke Mahanayak hai Śukadeva Goswami. So he is appearing on the scene now. So up till now, it has all scene has been set up for Śukadeva Goswami to come and recite Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And there are two important questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj. And Śukadeva Goswami will be answering those questions in 11 cantos. From Canto 2 to Canto 12, those two questions will be answered. So if we understand the questions, then we will be able to understand the answer. If you don't understand the question, what is the query, then how can we understand the answer? So very important. So let's get our minds connected. In one of the initial chapters, so there was a question asked by Shaunakadi Rishi, and Sud Goswami explained the various incarnations of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, and he concluded by describing all the incarnations, and he says that is in the third chapter. He says that ete cham sakala pumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan. So they're all ansh kala, ansh and kala, expansion of expansion. And Ramadi Murtishu, Brahmaji saying Ramadi Murtishu Kalaniyamen Tishta. Ram and Adi, and he says all other, all of them. But he also concludes that Krishna, Krishna Sambhavata Pumanayo. So he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ramadi Murtishu Kalaniyamen Tishta. But Krishna is the Supreme. And then the question was asked originally, if you remember, what was the question? Because now Kali Yuga has come. Remember? That was the query by Shaunakadi. Now Kali Yuga has come. And Lord Krishna has gone back to his abode. Krishna Swadham Upagate Dharma Jnana Adivisa. Dharma Kam Sharanam Gata. Right? So that was the question. Now Lord Krishna has gone back to his abode. Where is Dharma? And that's when Sud Goswami then says that this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Purana, Idam Bhagavatam Nam Puranam, Brahma Samhitam, which is the incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. This Bhagavat Puran, this is called, this Puran which is named Bhagavat Brahma Samhitam. This is incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he says Uttam Shloka Charitam Chakar. It describes the leelas, the pastimes of the Bhagavan Uttam Shlok. Lord Krishna is also called Uttam Shlok. Or Uttam Shlok may also means, please come Mataji. Uttam Shlok also means that who is described by the choicest of words. Chakar Uttam Shlok Charitam Chakar Bhagavan Rishi. That Bhagavan, now Vyasdev ji is being addressed as Bhagavan Vyasdev Rishi, and Vyasdev is a literal incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead, who has written this. And then he says that this Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasti Ainam Mahat. So he's establishing the importance of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is incarnation of Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Dhanya. This gives all the spiritual opulence to everyone. Swasti Ainam. It brings auspiciousness to all the living entities. Mahat, the greatest. So this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, right? So it answers that question. Now the Kali Yuga has come. Dharma, whose shelter Dharma has taken. And Shukadeva Goswami, Sud Goswami says that this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is Brahma Samhitam. This is the incarnation of Supreme Personality of God. Then the next question was asked that where did Shukadeva Goswami, then he says that this Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was spoken, Vyasdev ji spoke to Shukadeva Goswami, and then Shukadeva Goswami spoke to Parikshit Maharaj. Then he asked the question, then where did they meet? How did the meeting between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj happen? And rather before that, Sud Goswami ji, Shaunakadi Rishi asked Sud Goswami that Sut Mahabhaga, Sut Mahabhaga, O Sut, O greatly fortunate Sut Goswami, Vadano Vadatam Vara, you are the best of the speakers, please speak to us. Katham Bhagavatim Punyam Yad Aha Bhagavan Shukat. Bhagavan Vyasdev, and now they are also addressing Shukadeva Goswami as Bhagavan Shuk. So Sud Goswami is saying, oh Sud, you are the great fortunate. Please tell us that same katha which was spoken by Bhagavan Shukdev to Parikshit Maharaj. They first ask this, and then they say, Katham va Pandaveyam. Raj Rishi, Bhagavan Muni. Where? How did these two meet? Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. Yeah? So that this samvad between them happened. Sambhuta samvad tat. So they're addressing him as tat. Sambhuta samvad. Where did this conversation take place? Yeah? Please tell us. And now in the 19th chapter, today's chapter, this is where we will answer this question, that where did that meeting take place? How did Bhagavan Shukadeva or Shukadeva Goswami spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to Parikshit Maharaj? So this chapter is titled Appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. Yeah. And initially I said, very important to understand, if you truly desire, if you are truly a jignasu, atato brahma jignasa, if you have the real questions, then Krishna will make the arrangement. Once Srila Prabhupada was lecturing and the room was like this, fully packed. Not an extra person can come. One Indian Mataji stood up and she asked Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, do you see God? And she rather asked in a challenging tone, Swamiji, do you see God? And Prabhupada looked at her and Prabhupada said, yes. You don't see God? He said, yes, you can't see? He asked her. And by now everybody was looking at this Mataji, because she's challenged. And then Prabhupada said, Krishna is everywhere. You can't see? By now she was further embarrassed. She didn't know what to say. She was looking for a place to hide, put it this way. And then Prabhupada asked her, do you want to see God? And then she kept quiet. She said no. Prabhupada said, that's why you can't see. So the point, Prabhuji Mataji, if you really truly want to have a desire to solve your query, so these are the two questions that we should ask again and again. Rather than challenging, we often go with the challenging mood. Have you seen God? Why are you speaking to me? Because we have our own experience. We try to comprehend. We think God will fit into my logic. That's how we see the God. My logic is the logic. No. He's beyond our comprehension. Isn't it? Brahmaji is saying, Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. He is Adi, he is Puran, he is the beginning and he is the end. But he is Anant. So nobody can comprehend. So Prabhupada was very clear. Why do you want to see the God? You should perform an action that God will see you. Why do you want to challenge? Act in such a way that God will himself come and see. Like Supreme God, Bhagavan came to see Dhruv Maharaj. Right? He himself came. This God was inside in his heart. And Dhruv Maharaj wouldn't open the eyes. Lord came and stood in front of him. And then as the Lord disappeared from his heart, Dhruv Maharaj worried. What happened? As he opened his eyes, he saw Krishna standing in front of him. So God came to see him. So with that, right? So here Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami, Prabhuji Mataji appeared by himself. That is the important point. So we'll try to, as we go through the chapter, we'll discuss it. So let me share my screen. You can see my screen. Okay, so in this chapter, there are 5 sections or 5 areas. Maharaj Parikshit regrets and gratefully accepts the curse and renounces everything. So last chapter was Maharaj Parikshit cursed by Brahmana boy. So he accepts the curse and he regrets first for his action. We'll touch upon that. Then the second topic or second area is Maharaj Parikshit then submits himself to the assembled sages. He really truly regrets, right? And he accepts the curse and then he submits himself to the assembled sages. Then Śukadeva Gosvāmī enters the assembly. Like I said, Śukadeva Gosvāmī, he appears onto the scene. Then he comes into the assembly. Maharaj Parikshit receives Śukadeva Gosvāmī. We will look at how Maharaj Parikshit receives, how we should receive a saint. And then finally, Maharaj Parikshit gratefully inquires from Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Yeah. And this is Śukadeva Gosvāmī appearing, as we discussed, Alakshalingo, Nijalabhatusto. Today's verse. So Alakshalingo, he could not be identified who he is. And Nijalabhatusto, he was self-satisfied as he enters. So again, Roop and Swarup, there are two words. You have heard of them? What is Roop and what is Swarup?
What is the cross body which appears, but Swarup is within the real form.
The real form, yes, yes. Roop is what we see outside and Swarup is what is inside. What is our Swarup? Satchidanand, yes. Yes. There is one reference, Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami, Ke Ami. Sanatana Goswami went and he made a similar inquiry to Mahaprabhu. He says, Ke Ami, Kene Amar Tapatraya. Who am I? Why am I suffering from these three miseries? And then he said, Iha nahi jani, hit ke mane hoy. If I don't know who am I, then how will I be able to help myself? Please tell me who am I? And then Mahaprabhu told him, Jivara Swarup Krishnera Nityadas. That is our Swarup. Roop is, yes, as Prabhu said, is outside. When Ravana came to Marich, let's understand these two words, very important. When Ravana came to Marich asking for help because he wanted to kidnap Mother Sita, and Ravana told Marich, this is described in Valmiki Ramayana Aranyakand 36th chapter. So Ravana comes and Ravana tells Marich that, oh Marich, I need your help. Marich says, what happened? He says, I really need your help. There are these two princes who have come and they have disturbed the peace in the forest, as if the demons were maintaining the peace by killing the rishis. And he said, they have disturbed the peace in the forest. Marich said, what happened? He said, they came and they have killed so many demons because all the Rishi Muni, they are performing this sadhana, puja into the forest. And my demons, they were my followers. They were my servants. They were looking after. And because of their fear, all these Rishi Munis, they weren't able to worship Vishnu properly. And Vishnu is my enemy. And Ram, this prince, he's still calling this prince, this forest dweller, Lord Ram. He says he has killed Trishra. He has killed Khar. He has killed Dushan. What to speak of? He has cut the nose of my sister Shupnakha. He has been disbanded by his father into the forest. He is adharmic. He is irreligious. He is ajitendriya. He has no control of his senses. Marich is telling, Ravan is telling Marich, describing Lord Ram. And Marich keeps listening. The whole chapter is, Ravan is just, speaking. And then Marich says, what do you want? He said, I want to kidnap their wife to teach them a lesson. You should help me. And then Marich starts speaking. Marich says, they are not banished into the forest. First of all, he is the Supreme Lord. He has come into the forest to obey the orders of his father, to respect the instructions of his mother. That is why he has come to the forest. He is not Jitendriya. He is not Ajitendriya. He is Rishikesh. He is master of the senses. You're talking about he is a servant of his senses. He is the master of the senses. You are saying he is irreligion. No, he is not irreligion. He is religion personified. Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmam. Ramo Vigrahavan Dharmam. He says Ram is not irreligious. Ram Dharma ka Swarup hai. He is the Dharma himself. If Lord Ram holding a dhanush and ban, वो भगवान का रूप है, that is his रूप. He is holding a bow and arrow, that is his रूप. But dharma is his swarup. Lord Krishna holding a flute and a peacock feather is his roop, but Anand is his swarup. Right? We understand? Roop and swarup. So now as Śukadeva Gosvāmī is coming, alakshalingo, and in this verse it is mentioned, Vritascha baler avadhuta vesh. Vritascha baler. He was surrounded by children and women as he was walking. He was naked. Alakshalingo. Nobody could identify, who he is. So he was behaving like a madman. Avadhut. In the 5th canto, we will study how Bhagavan Rishabhdev, when he performs that Avadhut pastime. Bhagavan Rishabhdev, he's the incarnation of the Supreme Lord. When he is performing that pastime, he's lying on the street. He's eating while lying on the street. Right? He's evacuating while lying on the street. Like a ajgar. Ajgar, what do you call in English? Cobra? Python. Like a python, he's lying on the street. Supreme Lord. But they say his stool, 500 miles, thousands of miles, you can feel the, smell, perfume. Sugandh. That is called Chinmay. Ananda Swarup. Satchidanand Vigraha. That's what Brahmaji is saying. What is Brahman? How does Brahmaji, what is the first verse of Brahma Samhita? Sarva Karan Karanan. What is that verse? Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidanand Vigraha. Anadir Adir Govinde Sarva Karan. So he is Satchidanand Vigraha. Right? Even up to the level of demigods. Demigods also don't urinate, don't evacuate. Their body is also chinmay. They can appear anywhere. It's only us human beings. We are a bag of stool and urine. Right? And we decorate this body. But Roop and Sarup, Prabhuji Mataji, is very important. Roop is also very important. Prabhupada stressed this point. There is a reason we are advised to dress Vaishnavadams. Roop ki bhi mahima hai. The Roop also has a value. Once they say there was a play happening. And in that play, you have heard of Narsi Mehta. Narsi Mehta was a great saint in Gujarat. His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami used to say, if Prabhupada was born in Gujarat, we will be singing all the bhajans of Narsi Mehta. You ask people from Gujarat, Narsi Mehta is so great, such a great sage. Lord Krishna would come himself to help him. So such an exalted personality. Once there was a play happening and one Prabhu who played the role of Narsi Mehta, he had to leave early. He left early, and as he was going, he could not change. It was night time. As he was walking, he heard somebody walking behind him. And he stopped and he looked back. And he looked back, he saw Krishna was following him. Oh. And then Krishna says, oh, sorry, I thought Narsi Mehta was going. See? So this is the importance of Roop. That is why Prabhupada used to say, we should dress like Vaishnava. Ei baro karuna karo Vaishnava Gosai. Narottam Das Thakur is saying, please this time be merciful to me, O Vaishnava. So it's very important we dress like Vaishnava. We follow the Vaishnava etiquette. Somehow or other, by confusion, Krishna might come and consider you are a Vaishnava. Right? So let's not take it lightly. It's very important. Prabhupada has, preached this for a reason. Ravan, speaking of Ravan, when Ravan was going and trying to convince Mother Sita to accept him, then one of his ministers told him that why don't you dress like Ram? You go and dress like Ram in front of Sita, and then she might take you for Ram. And once she says yes, then she can't say no. Then she would have accepted you. Ravan said, good idea. As Ravan started dressing like Lord Ram, he started seeing Mother in Sita. He started, he said, no, this is Nikalo, no, this is not good. Take it off. See, so that is why we dress like this. Our mood, our thoughts, everything gets changed. Right? When you're putting this tilak, This tilak is not ordinary, Prabhuji. Lord Krishna has walked into Vrindavan. This is his charanadhuli, the dust from his lotus feet that you are putting on your forehead. How fortunate you are. So there is a reason Prabhupada has given us this. So we should dress like Vaishnava. We should, as much as possible, whenever possible, we should. Because if at least our thinking, our mood will come in that. Right? So Roop ki bhi mahima hai. Roop is important and Swarup is also important. Our Roop, we dress like Vaishnava, but what is our Swarup?
Actions.
No. Mataji. Please speak, Mataji. Krishna Nitya. That is our Swarup. Krishna Nitya Das. That is what Sanatana Goswami was asking Mahaprabhu. Ke Ami, who am I? Why am I suffering? Why all these three material miseries are always disturbing me? So let's remember that is your Swarup, and what you are dressing is your Roop. But Roop and Swarup have to match. They have to complete. That is it. Okay. So here you see Śukadeva Goswami appearing. Okay. So these are the 5 sections in this chapter. Now, Maharaj Parikshit, he is sitting, as we know in the last chapter, Maharaj Parikshit went to the ashram of Shamik Rishi and he was feeling thirsty. And Shamik Rishi was in a deep meditation and he was asking for water. And Shamik Rishi, because he was in deep meditation, he could not hear. But Parikshit Maharaj thought he is disrespecting me. He is knowingly ignoring me. And then he found a dead snake. He picked up the dead snake and put around the neck of Shamik Rishi. And then he left. As Parikshit Maharaj was walking back, then he was starting thinking to himself. So Sut Goswami is now telling Shankadi Rishi that Mahipati Stat Tat Karyam Garhiyam. Mahipati, who is the king, who is the master of the whole earth. That king, he started thinking to himself that what an abominable task have I. Vichintayan Atmakritam Sudurmana. He was very depressed in his heart that what a low-level task, abominable task have I done. And I think I was once talking to one Prabhu and he was telling me that we all make mistakes, but because of our ahankar, because of our pride, we don't recognize, right? We think somehow or other, no, that's fine. And then if not something else, then our mind starts telling, oh, look, I've chanted 4 rounds today. I think it will nullify that. Oh, I did that service at the temple. It will nullify that, right? We all go through those emotions. If we make any mistake, that mistake keeps coming back in our heart, in our mind. So Parikshit Maharaj, even though he is the Mahipati, and he hasn't done any big mistake like killing anyone or anything, as a king, he had the right to ask for respect or to expect the respect. And looking at his condition, he was really thirsty. So as he's coming back, he started thinking to himself and he's saying, Aho maya nicham anarya vratkritam niragasi brahmani gud tejas. He's saying, Aho maya, oh, I have done such an abominable task. Nicham. He's calling himself the lowest of the lowest of the lowest, living entity. He's comparing himself. He says, I have done such an abominable task against that Brahman who is Niragasi, who did not commit any mistake because he was in deep meditation. Brahmani, he was a Brahman. And Gud Tejasi, he was hiding his greatness. He was hiding his greatness, right? And he was thinking within himself. As he was thinking in himself, then he starts asking that now because I have done such a great mistake, now some bad thing should happen to me. Durattayam Vesnam na ati shigrat. He says very soon some bad thing, Vesnam, Durattayam, some calamity, some bad calamity is going to happen to me. Mataji, everything okay? Yeah. Thank you. Mataji has come from Minengal Park also. So this is the desire to hear Krishna. So he is thinking within his mind that I have performed such a bad thing. Now something bad should happen to me. He's desiring that something bad should happen to me, and that should happen to me yathana kuryam punarevadham, so that I will not repeat this kind of mistake again. This is who? Mahipati, who is the king of the whole universe, Parikshit Maharaj. So he is sitting in his palace and is thinking to himself that I have committed such a bad mistake. Now something bad should happen to me. Yeah. And not just that, then he starts praying. He starts saying, Adev me rajyam balam riddhi kosham. He says, just now, my kingdom, my strength, all my opulence, all my treasury, everything should burn. Dahatto. Everything should burn because abhadrasya, because I have performed such an insane task. I have performed such an insane work. And he says, my intelligence became papi yasi. My intelligence became sinful. I'm such a sinful person. Because what have I done? I have neglected Go, Dev and Vij, the principle established by Supreme Lord. I have disobeyed those principles. He says, Krit Deva Helanat. Krit Deva Helanat Papi Yasi Dhi Dvij Deva Gobhya. Because my intelligence became sinful, it became papi against the Dev, Dvij as in Brahman, and Gobh as in cows. Remember, Go Brahman Hitaya Cha. What is that verse? How does it start? What is the first line? Go Brahman Hitaya, Jagat Hitaya, Krishnaya. What is the first line? I can't remember that. Namo Brahmanya Devaya. Please repeat. Namo Brahmanya Devaya. Go Brahman Hitaya Cha. Jagat Hitaya Krishnaya. Govindaya Namo Namah. So that's Supreme Lord Krishna, who is called Govinda, who gives pleasure to the cows, right? Lord Krishna says that the Brahmins, the Vaishnavas, right? Vaishnava Brahmins have come from Krishna's mouth, right? So they are Krishna's body, or Vaishnavas. Narottam Das Thakur says that Vaishnava Hridaya Sada Govinda Vishram. Govinda Kahe Namora Vaishnava Pran. Vaishnava Hridaya Sada Govinda Vishram. Lord Govinda is always residing in the heart of Vaishnavas. And not just that, Lord Krishna himself says that they are my pran, they are my life, right? So he is cursing himself, Parikshit Maharaj, that I have performed such an abominable act against the Brahmanas. May a bad calamity should come. May my whole Rajyam, Balam, Riddhi Kosham, right? My whole empire, my whole opulences, my whole strength should be burnt by the wrath of the Brahmanas. He's just thinking in his mind. And as he was thinking like that, a messenger of Shamik Rishi comes into his assembly. Now, by now, Shamik Rishi has found out Shringi Rishi, his son who cursed king, he came and he told his father that, my dear father, I have performed such a bad thing. And now Shamik Rishi realized that Parikshit Maharaj is such a great king, he will not ask for forgiveness. He knew that he will use this as an opportunity to go back to Godhead. He will not counter curse. So Shamik Rishi thought of it as his duty to send a messenger into the assembly of king and inform the king that on 7th day from today, a snake bird will come and bite you, and which will become the reason for your death. So your time is limited. As king was contemplating, a messenger, one of the disciples of Shamik Rishi, comes and he informs the king about this upcoming event. And as king hears that, the king readily accepts that. Sa sadhu mene na chirena takshaka analam prasaktasya virakti karan. That king who is a sadhu, he accepts that curse. Rather, he says, na chirena, without any further delay, that bird, snake bird, should come and bite me. analam, or I should be burnt into the fire of that snake bird, because I am too attached to the family thing. Prasaktasya virakti karan. He says, because I am too prasakt, I am too attached to the family life and all these my attachment, so-called material things, that will become the reason for my liberation. As he heard that, and then straight away Parikshit Maharaj, he denounced. Yeah. So Parikshit Maharaj then denounced his kingdom. He had already appointed his son Janmeja, Maharaj Janmeja, as his apparent in here, yeah, his son, and he denounced everything, and he decided go to the bank of Ganges, and he decided to fast unto death. And here Sud Goswami says that Krishnangri sevam adhimanyamana upavishat, yeah, upavishat amritya nadyam. So then he decided that now this is the best opportunity that I should be able to serve the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of God. He accepted that as a blessing, and he decided to go and sit on the bank of Ganges. Upavishat prayam amritanadyam. Prayam as in fast unto death. On the bank of that river, which is called Amrit. Amrit Nadyam, because it has come from the heavenly planets. Yes. And he decided to sit on the bank of the Ganges. And then his thinking was that this Ganges, it has come from the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of God. It is carrying the dust, the dust from the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. It is also carrying tulsi leaves, which is offered onto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Yeah. Kastam ne sevet marishamana. Yeah. He says, who will not? Marishamana is who is destined to die. Now, whoever is destined to die, why will they not go and serve Mother Ganges? So that is why, Prabhuji Mataji, we should honor Gangajal. If you don't have Gangajal, please have some Gangajal. If you need Gangajal, please let me know. I've got Gangajal from India, from Haridwar, from Rishikesh, so I can give you a little bit. You can mix it with in a bigger bottle, honor it every day. Sprinkle it around your house. Who knows when you have to leave, right? That Ganga. Yeah. Padanakha Neer Janita Jalapavan Keshava Dhrita Vamana Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish. That Vamana Bhagwan, because Padanak, from the toenail, right? When Vaman Bhagwan will discuss that pastime in the third step, when he punctured that, and then the water, no, second step, sorry, and the water came out, that Brahmaji took into his kamandal. So here Sud Goswami is saying that Gangaji, who even purifies all the demigods, all the celestial planets, what to speak of them, it even purifies Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is putting it on his head. That is why he is called Gangadhar. So Parikshit Maharaj went and sat on the bank of Ganges. As Parikshit Maharaj went and sat on the bank of the Ganges, then he decided to surrender himself completely unto the lotus feet of Krishna. He said that Gangaji, who has come from the feet of Krishna, who is purifying Lord Shiva, who is purifying all the demigods, and that Supreme Lord, yeah, Mukund, Lord Krishna. So he says, Sud Goswami says, Dadahu Mukund Angri Ananya Manaso. Then he Ananya Manaso, he controlled his attention solely unto the lotus feet of Bhagwan Mukund, who is Krishna. Dadao, he just bring all his attention from everywhere onto the feet of lotus Krishna. And as Parikshit Maharaj sat on the bank of Ganges, now the news spread. News spread in all the three planetary systems. All the sages says Raj Rishi, Dev Rishi, Raj Rishi Varya, Brahma Rishi Varya, Arunadayascha, all the rishis, Vasisth Rishi, Vishwamitra, Gautam, Chavan, and Sasishya, they came with their disciples. Everybody started coming. All the Raja Rishis, all the great exalted kings, Dev Rishi, Bhagwan Naradji, Vyasdevji, everybody started coming there Because Parikshit Maharaj had decided to fast until death. And as they were coming there, and it is said, so Goswāmī says, they all coming there on the pretext of going on a pilgrimage. Tirtha vigamopadeshai. Tirth as in tirth, on a pilgrimage. All these rishis, they said, we are going on a pilgrimage. And they are the tirth personified. Yudhishthira Maharaj, what he says, Tirthi kurvanti tirthani. Isn't it? They even make the place of pilgrimage the place of pilgrimage. So this is the potential of these great sages. So they all, on the pretext of going on a pilgrimage, they all came and assembled there. As they all were coming and assembling there, then Parikshit Maharaj was bowing down to them one by one. He bowed down. One rishi came, he bowed down to him. Dandut Pranam. Another rishi came, he bowed down to him. Dandut Pranam. Yeah. And it truly means Dandut Pranam. It truly means surrendering to those rishis, right? He is ready to take the instructions. That is why he is offering his Dandut, right? He bowed down to all of them, and all of them came. When they all sat down, then he again bowed down. Raja Shirsha Vavande. He bowed down with his head. He literally touched his head on the ground, and he really meant it. Yeah. As they all sat down, now Parikshit Maharaj told them that this is my vow. I have taken a vow to fast unto death. And please tell me, what shall I do? And as he welcomed them, now all the Rishi Munis, they congratulated him. They said to him that yes, you have done, we support your decision. And then demigods from the skies, they were showering flower petals on Parikshit Maharaj, and they were glorifying him. See? And then Rishi Munis, they said, yes, my dear king, we are going to stay here. We are going to wait here until you go back to Godhead. See, this is the tirth. This is a pilgrimage for them. And then Parikshit Maharaj paid his obeisances again, and Parikshit Maharaj then started asking them that please guide him. Now, these are the two questions that we will discuss. But before that, it is said that Parikshit Maharaj was asked these questions, and then they were started thinking. So these were two questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj, and we should be asking them as well. Number one, everyone in all circumstances, after proper deliberation. So he asked them, Tataschava Prichayam Viprachay. Very important. So he says, Tataschava. Now, therefore, I'm asking you all my question, which is to be asked. Prichayam Viprachay. I think I've given this example earlier also. Once Srila Prabhupada was in America, and he was giving a lecture. And after the lecture, one boy stood up in a challenging tone again. And he asked Prabhupada, what is this that you are wearing in your neck? And then this boy was wearing necktie. Prabhupada asked him, what is this that you are wearing in your neck? And then he says, what is this? What kind of answer is this to my question? And Prabhupada said, what kind of question are you asking? A Swami has come. A God-realized person has come. You should be asking, what should I do? I'm about to die. What is the purpose? Ke ami, kene amara. What is the purpose of my life? What kind of question is this? Right? So here, that's what Parikshit Maharaj is saying very clearly. Prichayam viprache. Viprache matlab means that the question which is to be asked. I'm asking you that question. Mriyamanascha. Mriyamanascha sarvatha. Sarvatmana mriyamanascha. He says sarvatmana. People who are destined to die all the time. All the time, everyone is destined to die. Right? So he says, Krityam. Krityam tatra mrashata abhiyukta. So he says, please tell me, amrashata, discuss among yourself. He's requesting all the rishi. You know how we use the word vimarsh, as in contemplate. So he's telling all the rishis, you contemplate, discuss among yourself. A person who is about to die, everyone in all circumstances, and specifically a dying person. Sarvatmana mriyamanascha. In all the circumstances, and person who is specifically about to die, what they should be doing. Krityam, what should be their duty. And now it is said that all the Rishi Munis, they started talking among themselves. Some of them were saying maybe the king should perform charity. He should perform Ashwamedh Yagna. Maybe he should dig so many wells. He should set up disability homes, etc., etc. Everybody was coming up with their charitable ideas. Perform yagna, perform this, perform that. Right? As they were deliberating, they were thinking like this. Now, suddenly, Śukadeva Goswami walks in. This is today's verse. Yeah. Tatra bhavat bhagavan vyasa putra. Right? And then, as Srila Śukadeva Goswami walks in, Śukadeva Goswami enters the assembly. So as you can see, all the sages are sitting there, and Parikshit Maharaj now welcomes the Śukadeva Goswami. Now as Śukadeva Goswami comes, so some of his bodily features are described of, like I said, the Roop and Swarup, right? So this is our Mahanayak, like I said, this is our superhero of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So we should remember, or we should visualize about Śukadeva Goswami, right? So here they say 16-year-old, Dvishta Varsham, Sukumar Pad, his feet, they are saying this, his thighs. So how his body is formed, Śukadeva Goswami. So this is all description of his beautiful bodily features, right? His conch-like throat, fleshly collarbone, broad chest, deep navel, striped abdomen, yeah, Valgu Udar. You know how they say six-pack, whatever. So he was truly not like, pot belly and etc. So he's 16 years old. Yeah, he was so beautiful, curly haired, naked, and with a bodily hue like that of Lord Shri Krishna. Yeah, so his bodily hue was like Lord Krishna. Now, as Śukadeva Goswami was walking towards that assembly, it is said that all the children and all the women in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions 25th verse, they were surrounding him. Some of them were thinking he is a madman. Yeah. And this was also a question asked by Shaunakadi Rishi, Katham alakshitai paurai, how he was identified. How they identified him, isn't it? It's important. Somebody 16-year-old walking, and how do you identify who is he? Whether he's Brahma Rishi, what he can do. As he walks in there, now all the Rishi Muni, they stand up. They all stand up, and in the verse it is said that Sud Goswami is saying they were all Lakshya Gyan. They had the knowledge, physiognomy, it is called in English. By looking at someone, by looking at his bodily features, by looking at how he is walking, they could tell, how he is, what kind of personality he is. As Śukadeva Goswami walks in, now all the sages, they stood up. They paid their obeisances to Śukadeva Goswami. And they paid their obeisances to Śukadeva Goswami. Parikshit Maharaj also paid his obeisances to Śukadeva Goswami. Now by now he understood that if all these sages are standing, Vyasdev was there, Naradji was there, Angira Rishi was there, all of them were there, they all stood up. As they all stood up, Parikshit Maharaj stood up, and Parikshit Maharaj welcomed Śukadeva Goswami into that assembly. And he received Śukadeva Goswami. And it says, as he received Śukadeva Goswami, and then he started telling Śukadeva Goswami that your presence, he says, Aho adya vayam brahman sat sevya shatra bandhava. Right? Kripaya atithi rupena bhagavad bhir tirtha kakrita. He's saying that by your presence, aho adya vayam, today by your presence, today you coming here, our place has become like a place of pilgrimage. Right? We are Shatra Bandhava. So, Ashwathama was addressed as Brahman Bandhu. He was a Brahman, and Brahman Bandhu is degraded Brahman. So here Parikshit Maharaj is saying to him that I'm a degraded Kshatriya because I have disrespected a Brahman. So I'm a degraded Kshatriya. He's already accepting that. That is why he's calling himself that I'm Shatra Bandhava. But, O Brahman, by you coming here, you have made this place a place of pilgrimage. And then he says, getting your darshan. He says, get just by remembering you, yesham sat smaranat sadde shuddhanti vaigriha. Just by remembering you, the pumsam, the living entities, their houses get purified. That is why in your houses, in your altar, you have Guru Parampara. You recite your Guru's name every day. Just by remembering, San Smarana, just by remembering their names, Sadde Shuddhant, immediately your house gets purified. Kim Puna Darshanam Sparsh Pad Shoch Asanadi. Then what to speak of getting your direct darshan? What to speak of touching your feet, washing your feet, and offering you a place to sit? That is our great fortune that you have come here. Right? So this is how we welcome a Vaishnava to our house. Right? Sometimes if somebody comes to our house, we say, oh, I paid for the airfare. Oh, I made the arrangement for their travel. I made the arrangement for their visa. You know, you see all kind of things. People have all these kind of mentality. But then you don't get the benefit of a Vaishnava coming to your house. Yeah? Or a Vaishnava visiting you. So with that mood, that is the mood, we should welcome a Brahman or a Vaishnava to our place. Yeah. So this is Parikshit Maharaj, and who is Mahipati. So he is glorifying many. He says, Sanidhyate Mahayogin Patakani Mahanti Api. He says, just by getting your association, O Mahayogi, O greatest of the yogis, just by getting your association. Patakani Mahanti Api. The lowest and the greatest of the sins, people get purified. Yeah. Sadya nashanti vaipum sam Vishnor iva suretara. As by the coming of Lord Vishnu, all the demons are destroyed. Similarly, my dear sir, my dear Lord, by getting your presence, he is addressed to Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Right? He hasn't yet taken a seat. See, he's still glorifying him. Even before he asks a question to him. He's not giving introduction. I am the king of the whole universe. Please come, I can offer you this seat, I can do this, I can. No. He's putting himself onto the lowest and the lowest of the lowest of the left. That is why we belong in this parampara provision. That is why Rupa Gosvāmī is saying very nicely, Gopi bhartu pad kamaleyor dasa dasan dasa. That Prabhupada says we want to be known as the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, of who is serving the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. That is what we want to be known as. Yeah. With that name. So Parikshit Maharaj is welcoming, and he says, just by coming, just by your presence, my dear sir, all the sinful reactions, all the sins performed by Nashanti, they just get destroyed. Sanidhyat, just by getting your association, they get destroyed. And then he says, it is a great fortune. It is a great fortune for me that Supreme Lord Shri Krishna, Supreme Lord Shri Krishna has been grateful, merciful to me. Because of the sons of Pandu Maharaj, they served Supreme Lord Krishna. Because of the sons of Pandu Maharaj served Supreme Lord Krishna, that is why he has accepted me as a relative. He has accepted me as a relative because of his loving relationship with his cousins and brothers. So deep. Please try to understand. Parikshit Maharaj is saying to Śukadeva Gosvāmī that Supreme Lord Krishna has been so merciful to me because of sons of Pandu. Supreme Lord has accepted me as his relative. Right? Because to please his cousins, because of relationship, to please his cousins and brothers, he has accepted me as his relative. Otherwise, why will you come into this assembly? This is how he concludes. He concludes his glorification of Śukadeva Gosvāmī. And now he starts asking the questions. Yeah. Now, it says Śukadeva Gosvāmī, he takes a seat. Yeah. Prashantamasīnam akunta medhasam munim nripo bhagavatobhya upetya Prashantam asinam akunt medasa. That's Shukadeva Goswami, who is prashant, who is completely at peace. Asinam, he is sitting with full peace. Akunt medasa, his intelligence is not blunted. He is very calm and he is ready to answer any and every question to be asked by Parikshit Maharaj. Now he takes a seat. And that Parikshit Maharaj, Munim Nripo, to that Muni Nripo, Raja Parikshit Maharaj, he Bhagavato bhi upetya. That King Parikshit, who is a great servant of the Supreme Lord, he goes close to Parikshit Maharaj. And what did he? He offers his obeisances. Once again, he offers his obeisances. Pranam, he offers his pranam. Pranam murdhana iva hita kritanjali. How he offers pranam? He touches head onto the ground. His hands are folded. Yeah, kritanjali. He offers the pranam. And then natva gira. Offers pranam. He touches head on the feet. Now gira. Gira su. Now very sweetly prichanvita. Now he starts asking the question. See? It's not that Swamiji, have you seen God? Why are you wearing this kanti mala? Yeah. Then how will you get? You will get the same answer. You know, Dashrath Maharaj, when he wanted to perform the Putra Kameshti Yagna. He wanted to perform the Yagna to get this children's son. And then who was the Rishi who told him? Vasishtha Rishi told him. And he was going to the forest. And he said, okay, prepare the army. We are going to invite that Rishi to come and perform the Yagna. And then Vasishtha Rishi told Rajan, what are you doing? If you are going to show your opulence to the Rishi, then this is what you are going to get the same thing back. No, leave it here. Walk barefooted. Very important. Service mode. You know, once there was few devotees, they went to Vrindavan. They went to one Maharaj's ashram and they said, Maharaj, we want to perform Bhandara, as we want to do a feast, big feast. Maharaj said, okay, very nice. And then they asked Maharaj, how much will it cost? Maharaj said, what did you say? They said, how much will it cost? And then Maharaj invited one of his disciples. He said, take him inside and tell him as many pieces of paper he wants, he can take. And then that man realized his mistake. And then Maharaj told him, you want to perform a feast? Okay. Tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. with the whole family, you should come here. Okay. Go to the wholesale vegetable market. Buy the best of the vegetables for Laddu Gopalji, right? That you want to open. You bring all the vegetables. Go to the grocery shop. Get the best of, you know, those almonds and those dry fruits. Get the best of them. Go and buy the wheat, flour and the sugar and everything. Get all the ingredients. The whole family come here 6 a.m. and they went around Vrindavan and they got all the ingredients. And then he said, whole family get together, bring your extended family members and then prepare all the ingredients and then do the cooking yourself. Do all the cooking yourself. And then it is said that after they were cutting the vegetables, and then he said, one of them said, Maharaj, we have cut the vegetables. He said, what did you say? Cut the vegetables. He said, throw them into Yamuna. Bring again more vegetables. So to that extent, he was telling them, you don't cut. You're going to offer it to Krishna and you're saying, I've cut the vegetables. Say, I have prepared them. So you have to watch your words to that extent. If you really want to serve, if you want to do formality, that's your call. Ye yatha maam prapadyante tams tathay bhajamya. How you surrender to me, I respond similarly. Doesn't matter. You can keep serving for years and years and years. You won't get any result. So to that extent, you have to mind your words. And they prepared nicely. And then Maharaj said, now when all the bhoga is cooked, offer it to Thakurji. Then they went and offered, whole family offered to Thakurji. And then after offering, invite all the guests. Whole family should serve. Now serve everyone. After you have served everyone, now whatever is left over, honor that. Don't say we're going to take it to Delhi and honor. No, sit here. Sit here, honor it in Vrindavan itself. Honor whole family nicely. Then clean the place. And now go. See? So you can't impress by these things. If you want to impress, it's only your devotional attitude. If you try to impress with your opulence, you're going to fail. So Vasishtha told, that's what told Darshan Maharaj. And Darshan Maharaj then went barefoot. He went barefoot, the Rishi came, they performed the yagna, and then Lord Ram. You want to have Lord Ram as your son? You want to have direct darshan of Lord Ram? You want to invite Lord Ram in your home, in your Thakurji to your house? How will he invite? What are you saying? The opulence. Your opulence is nothing. Brahma is saying, Yasek neshwasita kalam athavalambya jivanti lom bilja jagadandanath Vishnu mahan saiha yasya kala vishesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. That Supreme Lord. So Brahmaji is saying, Yasek nishvasita kalam athavanambe, by whose one breath, the time of one breath. Yeah, this Brahmaji or the whole universe, you know, Mahavishnu Gosvāmī, Mahavishnu, who is an expansion, so who is Karanodakshaya Vishnu, he with his one breath, he inhales, the whole universe goes inside his mouth. What is the duration of that one breath? So that is the duration of life of Brahmaji. Jagadandanath, who is the Nath of this Jagadanda, who is the master of this universe, that is the span of his life. Just one breath. So what is the value of your opulence? Nothing. You know? Once Prabhupada came to Melbourne and the devotees had arranged limousine for him. As they had arranged limousine for him, then this press came. And then the press started challenging Prabhupada. What kind of renouncement you are? You are going to travel into this limousine. Look at, they have arranged. They were actually envious. The whole airport was, Melbourne airport was devotees. It was, I mean, you know, all devotees in Melbourne Yatra, they described. The whole environment was ecstatic. Big kirtan, police, everyone. They were like, who is this? Who is this Swami? Why there is so much rana about it? And then the press came and they challenged Prabhupada, you're going to sit in a limousine. Prabhupada said, what do you think of limousine? For a devotee of Lord, there should be golden chariot. What is this limousine? It is just made of a rubber and tin. See, he completely smashed. What is this car? The so-called cars we have, you know, etc. So whatever model you are carrying, Prabhupada said, it is just that the wheels are made of rubber, the tires are made of rubber, and this body is made of tin. What is it? What is the big deal about this limousine? The devotee of Lord should travel in a golden chariot. Dhruv Maharaj, when he went back, yeah, he says that the mrityu, the death personified comes. Mrityu or murdhani padam dattva aruroho adbhutam vaha. Yeah, he put his foot on the head of the death personified, Dhruv Maharaj. Aruroho adbhutam bhavan. He stepped into that plane, which is like a great bhavan, which is like a great palace. That plane came to take Dhruv Maharaj. This is the glory of the devotee. Yeah. So you can't impress. Yeah. So Parikshit Maharaj welcomes Śukadeva Gosvāmī, and now he asks him two questions. Yeah. Atah prichhami samsiddhim yoginam paramam guru purushasya iha yat karyam mriyammanasya sarvata. Yeah. So that is the first question. O Guru of the saints, yogi nam atah prichhami yogi nam paramam guru. O Guru of the saints, show the way of perfection for all persons and especially for one who is about to die. Atah prichhami samsiddhim yogi nam paramam gurum purushasya iha yat karam mriyammanasya sarvata. Remember this line, mriyammanasya sarvata, who is always destined to die. And we are all destined to die, Prabhuji Mataji. There is no question about it. Right? So if at all we have any question, this should be our question, that who are always destined to die, what we should be doing. What should be our duty? So he asked that question. And then the second question he asked is, then he says, please let me know what a man should hear chant, remember, and worship, and what he should not do. Smartavyam bhajaniyam va bruhi yadva vipariyam. Vipariyam as in what he should tyag, what he should sacrifice, what he should not do. Smaraniyam, what he should remember. Bhajaniyam, I think bhaj we should understand. Bhajaniyam, bhajan doesn't mean just chanting or singing loudly. Bhaj has come from a Sanskrit word which means seva, service. You cooking is a service. You cleaning is a service. Prabhuji, Mataji, maintaining this place is a service. That is also bhajan. Sorry. So let's be very clear. Let's not understand bhajan. Bhajan means playing mridanga or playing kartal and singing. Service means bhajan. You are doing bhajan. Yeah? That is also called kirtan. Right? You coming to attend the program, service. Mataji coming from Menangal Park, service. Bhajan, that's also bhajan. Right? So that's what we should ask. Smartavyam bhajaniyam va. What should we remember? What should we do? Bhajan. What should be, what should be our activities? Right? And then he says, Japyam, what we should jap, what we should be chanting. We should not just be chanting whimsically. We are in a parampara. Our previous acharyas, they have given us a process. Let's follow that process. Why do we want to reinvent something? Why do we want to come up with our own formulas? It's very simple. Right? I told earlier, Ek Krishna Naam Jivera, Joto Pap Hare, Jivera Sadhya Nahi, Toto Pap Korite Pare. Ek Krishna, one name of Krishna can destroy those many sins. The Jeev doesn't have strength to perform those many sins. You understand? If you take one name of Krishna, it can destroy these many sins. Whereas your strength could be to perform these many sins. You can't go above this. Jivera sadhya nahi tato pap karit pare. You don't have strength to perform as many sins as Krishna's name can destroy those many sins. So then, what is the problem? So they're very important. So these are the questions that Parikshit Maharaj is asking. So he asked two questions. Mriyamanasya sarvatha, remember that. All of us are dying. If you are 50 years old, then 50 years of your life have gone. Right? Here, Parikshit Maharaj is fortunate that he has found out about his upcoming death. Yeah. He has found out. He says, Bhayamashu dhatte. He says, my this attachment, vyasakta chittasya. Yeah. He says, my this man who is attached so much to the family life, yeah, has been kindly paravaresho by that Supreme Lord, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord, nirveda mulo dvij shapa rupa, in the form of curse from this Brahmana boy. My attachment to this family life can be readily removed by the fear of attack by Takshak snake. Once there was a study performed, they say some inmates are in the jail, they are given life sentence. And some inmates are given, like they will be hanged to death in 3 years or 2 months or 1 year. So the study proved that people who know they are going to be hanged to death in a certain time, their behavior changed drastically. Because they knew now the death is imminent. It is going to happen within a month or within 2 years or what. So then they could see the time, the date approaching. Whereas the people who know life sentence, they thought, I'm going to be here forever. I may be safe. So here Parikshit Maharaj is putting himself in that state and he's saying, maybe I was too attached to the family life, but it has been a blessing to me. And in that blessing, that maybe out of the fear of that snake, I'm going to detach myself from this family life. So he asked these two questions, and then Śukadeva Gosvāmī answered these questions from 2nd canto to the end of the 12th canto. But another shloka I want to share with you, and this should be our prayer, Prabhuji Mataji. So what Śukadeva Gosvāmī also says is that, okay, what I should do, what I should not be doing. Please tell me who is about to die, right? He accepts that he committed mistake, but then he also says that if somehow or other I have to take another human birth, punascha bhuyad, if I have to take birth again, punascha bhuyad bhagavati anante rati prasangascha tad ashrayeshu. He says, if I have to take birth again, I'm praying to you. Now he's praying to all the sages assembled. He says, I'm praying to you. If I have to take birth again, then he's asking for three things. He says that Supreme Lord Bhagavati, who is Anant, Rati, I should have the attraction to that Supreme Lord. That's one. Prasangascha tad ashrayeshu. Those people who have taken complete shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, I should get their association. Maybe that's what we prayed for in our previous lives, and you have the association of devotees. There are so many people out there who are struggling. We may not have attraction to the Supreme Lord as yet, but at least we've got that association. Prasangascha tad ashrayeshu, right? And then he says that Mahatsu yam yam upayami srishti. He says Mahatsu, because this is Mahat Tattva. When that egg comes out, from the pores of the Mahavishnu. So that is called Mahat Tattva. So he says, in that yam yam upayami srishtim, whatever body I get, whenever, wherever, yam yam, I take birth. Maitrayastu sarvatra namo dvijebhya. That I should have the friendship towards all the living entities. Oh sages, I'm praying to you for three things. Please remember these three things. Okay. What are the three things? What is the first one? Rati, attraction to the Supreme Lord. Remember this. What is one? Please, let's all memorize it. Attraction to the Supreme Lord, number one. What is number two?
Association with the devotees and the...
Yes, association of the devotees who have taken complete shelter unto the Supreme Lord. So attraction to the Supreme Lord is very clear. And then attraction to that Lord unto whose feet the people have taken complete shelter, not to any other God. Very clearly specified, right? And the third one is Maitres to Sarvatra, right? May I be friendly to all the living entities. That is what I pray. So Prabhuji, Mataji, we all are assembling here. We are all praying that somehow or other we are able to get out of this cycle of birth, death, old age and disease. But if we are not able to, we should at least say these prayers that, okay, my dear Lord, whatever you decide, I should at least have the attraction to the Supreme Lord. So this is the Mahipati. This is Parikshit Maharaj's prayer. So our prayer has to be somewhat similar. Right? So now we will stop here and then we will discuss the from next class on, we will start discussing. So this is a great occasion for all of us, Prabhuji Mataji. We have concluded, or we have studied the first canto. There are 19 chapters in the first canto. We are really, thankful to all of you for giving us your association. We all have together, like I said in the beginning, this is a great yagna. This is the yagna of Kali Yuga to study these granthas. Jivere kripaya Krishna kaila ved Puran. Yeah, Maya Baddha Jivera Nahi Swata Krishna Gyan, Jivera Kripaya Kaila Krishna Ved. We cannot understand the Supreme Lord by our own, concoctions, but to be merciful to us, the Supreme Lord Bhagavan Vyasdev has written these scriptures for us, right? So this is a great opportunity. So we all have studied this together, and now we have got to a point where Parikshit Maharaj has got direct audience with Śukadeva Gosvāmī, and now he has raised two questions. And what are those two questions? What is the question number one?
What is the duty of the...
What is the duty of everyone at all the time? What is your duty all the time? And what is the duty of somebody who is about to die? Mriyamanasya sarvatha. So remember these two things. Whatever you are doing now is your duty, and we are all going to die anyway one day, right? So what is our duty? Now these two important questions will be asked. If you understand, now go and contemplate on these questions. How we contemplate on how to increase my bank balance, how to buy my next this thing and that thing. That is also required in a Grihastha ashram. But let's contemplate on these questions, and then in the future cantos, these questions. Okay, so we'll stop here. Granthra Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki.
His Holiness, His Grace, Venugada Das Prabhu ji ki